Ah yes, this is what peak cinema looks like. But how did they actually make those recoil effects look so good? Real ammunition? Maybe. That's what we're here to figure out. We all remember those childhood sick days. Bundled up in a blanket, glued to the TV, watching morning and midday cartoons. And if you're from America, chances are you probably watched The Price is Right. Sometimes my mom would pick up movies from the video store. And really, parents were just built different back in the day. And she would bring home stuff like Police Academy, The Mask and Alive for some odd reason. But my dad was on another level entirely, and one of those sick days he brought me Predator and this. My tiny kid brain was absolutely blown away. The surfing bird scenes, especially the ending, left a permanent mark on me. Honestly, it's one of the reasons this channel even exists today. Of course, some scenes were questionable and left me completely confused.
One of these days these boots are gonna walk all
Hey,
over
baby!
you.
You got girlfriend, Vietnam?
Not just this minute.
Yeah.
Well, baby, me so horny. Me so horny.
You keep lying.
Me love
when
you
you're on
long
the
time.
beach.
But the sequence I'm still obsessed with is, of course, the tank section. It's loud, chaotic and visually incredible. And that's why I want to break down this scene in this video, because how did they make the tanks firing look so realistic? To this day, in my opinion, it's still one of the best depictions of tanks actually shooting ever put on film. Modern movies use, of course, CGI like in Fury, but there's something magical about seeing it done for real. Of course, this all came with the classic nightmarish Stanley Kubrick production, and the making of these scenes turned out to be some of the most grueling of the entire shoot. The Vietnam War is arguably the most controversial and disastrous conflict in American history, but in the 80s it suddenly became popular in Hollywood, almost reframing it as a heroic action setting. Tons of movies came out during this trend. Naturally, this got the attention of Stanley Kubrick, who reached out to his friend Michael Herr about creating a more realistic take on Vietnam. After reading the book Short Timers by Gustav Hasford, Kubrick knew exactly what he wanted. So he started directly consulting with Hasford on developing a script. Meanwhile, he spent an absurd amount of time convincing Herr to join the project. Eventually, both Herr and Hasford wrote separate drafts, though in true Kubrick fashion, neither writer knew the other was involved in this project. When they finally figured it out, Hasford was not that pleased about the whole ordeal. But by 1985 the script was complete and Warner Bros. Approved a $30 million budget. So after getting his approval, Kubrick, who was living in the UK, refused to fly. Insisted on filming the entire movie in England, far from Vietnam. As a result, English locations had to be fully transformed to resemble Vietnam. This included filming in an abandoned toxic chemical plant, building a replica jungle shipped in from California, which Kubrick hated and threw out, eventually importing real trees instead. But the scenes we're looking at were filmed at the old abandoned Beckton gas works, a hellish contaminated industrial wasteland, and surprise surprise, filming in a toxic cloud of industrial dust made the cast and crew sick for weeks. Kubrick himself apparently never fully recovered from this exposure. But the ending scene we're discussing wasn't even finalized before shooting. It was cobbled together last minute, making the experience even more brutal for everyone involved. But out of all of this misery, we ended up with something truly special. The plot centers around Private Joker, played by Matthew Modine. We follow him from boot camp to South Vietnam, where he becomes a journalist. Along with fellow journalist
Rafterman.
they witness the Tet Offensive and the Battle of Wei, leading us to the iconic Surfer Bird sequence. Man, this entire third part of the movie is just golden. And what made the city and its scenes so realistic was a mix of pure luck and perfect timing. As I mentioned, the footage was shot at the old Beckton Gas Works, which was already scheduled for demolition. And adding to the authenticity, most of the buildings dated back from the 1930s, and some of them were actually created by the same designers who worked on buildings in the city of Wei. Because of that, parts of this city ended up being almost exact replicas of those found in the old city of Wei. But of course, not everything could be perfect. The tanks in this sequence were M41D Walker Bulldogs, and the Walker Bulldog tanks weren't used by the US forces in Vietnam, only by the South Vietnamese army. But for the film they were close enough. The tanks were reportedly sourced from the Belgian army, after a Belgian colonel, a massive Kubrick fan, found out about the production and lent them to the film. And that's another great stroke of luck. Oh my god, it's so good. But yeah, this wide tracking shot is what we are actually here for. It's jam-packed with practical effects, from timed explosions, debris charges and pyrotechnic blast inside the tank barrels. But of course the big question is, how did they simulate the recoil so realistically? And I couldn't find a clear answer anywhere.
That's because you suck.
Until I noticed a small puff of smoke coming from under the second vehicle. And then it hit me. I believe they used a pneumatic air ram. These are usually used to flip cars in movies. And so what they actually do is they mount a heavy steel tube inside a vehicle, and a piston powered by compressed air slams a metal plate into the ground, launching the vehicle upwards or backwards or anywards they want. The reason why I think this is the case is that these air rams sometimes give off this white smoke. It also seems that the tanks are placed on a solid concrete slab, so a air ram could be placed under the tank at a slight angle to make them bounce back in recoil. If you look closely, the barrels wobble visually but show no natural recoil movement. And a air ram can also be perfectly timed with the pyrotechnic charge inside the barrel. Combine a pyrotechnic muzzle blast and a well-timed air ram and tons of practical explosions around the set, and you get this absolutely incredible scene. So that's pretty much the end of this video. Hope this answered your question and you sort of liked this video and it wasn't too boku for your taste.
So brother, too boku.
If you did, leave a like, drop a comment, and I hope to see you in the next one. Oh yeah, speaking about the next video, I was busy making a video about the movie The Battle of the Bulge. But somebody beat me to the punch already. And it was pretty much the same thing. So... Oh my god.
Guys, I'm eating junk and watching rubbish. You better come out and stop me.